this morning, sun's a bit hazy. Checking the forecast, things looking crazy. A storm on the horizon, the pressure is low. Gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road.
Let's kick this can, guys. Let's bring this show on the air. What do you think? I say let's do this. Let's do this right now, guys. My name's Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Tonight's broadcast isn't going to be the kind of broadcast I would normally put on the air on a given day. Tonight's broadcast is a broadcast of emergency information for all of you in the southern part of the United States, particularly Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, to some part Georgia, and also Florida. The Gulf Coast is going to be experiencing, and is already experiencing, tropical storm weather. Okay, very heavy weather. We're going to talk about that. We have reports coming from Fox News. We also have reports coming from a local affiliate in the area. First, this. Watch this, guys. This is weather impact. You're going to want to see this.
See a tropical storm develop here over the next 36 to 48 hours. Again, the areas highlighted are along the immediate coastline. I will break down what a tropical storm watch means here in a second, but I want to show you another brand new update from the Hurricane Center. We've been upgraded from Invest 90L to potential tropical cyclone 1. What this means is we are just shy from getting a designation, and the Hurricane Center is projecting this to happen over the next day or two. You'll notice this cone that they've put encompasses Corpus Christi, Freeport into Galveston, and then curving out towards Louisiana. So if we were to get a named storm, it would happen somewhere between Galveston to Chambers County and then moving quickly into land. So the timing for this is looking like this. By this evening, 35-mile-an-hour wind speeds. This is still just shy of a tropical storm. Once it pushes towards 40-mile-an-hour wind speeds, this is projected to happen by early tomorrow morning, right around 7 o'clock. That's when it would push up into a tropical storm and gain that designation. It continues then to churn along the upper Texas coastline throughout the entire day. So our highest risk day is going to be tomorrow, regardless of if we get the designation or not. We're expecting to see a lot of that tropical moisture push along the upper Texas coastline throughout tomorrow morning, afternoon, and evening. As we head into Thursday, that's when it starts pushing towards Louisiana and making its trek a little bit further inland. We're still at a 60% chance for getting this designation. This is going to evolve throughout the day. So the National Hurricane Center is sending hurricane hunters into the center of this low pressure system to gather data, including any pressure drops, any increased wind speeds, and any defined center of circulation. If they do gain evidence of that with this tropical satellite that I'm showing you, that's when they would upgrade us from the PTC1 into the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane.
Okay, look at that storm, guys. All those black, orange, and brown clouds are tropical storm thunderstorms. Remember thunderstorms, guys. Thunderstorms spin off tornadoes here. We're going to be getting in this in a very short while here.
Season. So right now it is very disorganized moisture. You'll notice it is a big swath of it extending from the upper coastline of Mexico into Brownsville, Corpus, and of course southeast Texas. So most of the activity right now is along the coastline. The first named storm is Arthur. Again, we are watching to see if this happens throughout the next.
We need to publicly apologize to everyone who bought our.
Okay, I'm not going to let this go. I can't let the audio go.
48 hours. So because of that, the National Hurricane Center has put us under a tropical storm watch. Once again.
Okay, a tropical storm watch for the next 36 to 42 hours. 36 to 42 hours here.
And which areas are included in that. So this is a portion of Brazoria, Galveston, and Chambers County. This includes Freeport, Jamaica Beach, Galveston, Winnie, Anahuac. Those are some of the areas they're expecting to see the majority of the impacts with this tropical moisture that could potentially become a tropical storm. So let me break down what a tropical storm watch means versus what a warning means. So we might get upgraded into a warning here as that system gets a little bit closer to us. So I want you to know the difference. Watch means we could see possible impacts over the next 48 hours. I think in our scenario, because it's so close, I think possible impacts could start as quickly as the next 18 to 24 hours. What would those impacts be? With a tropical storm, it would mean winds at 39 to 73 miles an hour. Coastal
39 to 73 miles per hour. And some of this storm has already reached parts of Texas, including Corpus Christi and Galveston, Texas. This storm is already over Texas. Again, we're going to go further into this in just a very few minutes.
Flooding a possibility, storm surge a possibility, and I'm going to be watching the potential for inland flooding as well, because there's going to be a lot of moisture surging in the area and we still have that stalled front. This is going to potentially bring us impacts even closer towards the city center, but the immediate coastline is the area that's going to get hit with a number of other potential impacts, like the increased wind speeds, like the potential of the increased wave height. So that's why that area has been flagged in particular for a little bit extra caution. Here's a live look at radar right now. So you'll notice right now pretty light activity along the coastline. We are tracking a couple of heavier downpours. Just north of Houston, so northern Harris County into Montgomery, the Spring area, where you see those boxes in green. Those are the areas that have either a flood advisory or a flash flood warning. Oak Ridge North, the Woodlands, Tomball. Those are the spots that have been getting repeated rounds of rain, what we like to call training thunderstorms, storms that redevelop in the same area, bringing torrential downpours and the potential of quick high water to localized street flooding. The flash flooding for this area is extended until 1:30 in the afternoon. However, if the rain there doesn't lift, it could potentially get pushed a little bit later on into this afternoon. How much rain have we already seen between today and yesterday? A really substantial amount. You'll notice for northern Harris County into Montgomery, so the Spring area, closer to the airport, Humble area, 7 inches of rainfall just in the last 48 hours, 6.5 near Spring, and then pushing up closer towards the North Freeway, Conroe to Huntsville.
Okay, notice those rainfall amounts, okay? 6.0 inches along near the coastline. 5.0, 6.5 inches along the coastline. That's already happened. 5 inches of rainfall during a typical month is usually what they get. This is extreme flooding, guys. Extreme flooding, and possibly also these landslides may go on in the hillside areas of this area. Going further to the northeast here, 7 inches, 7.1 inches. Going to the almost direct north, 8 inches of rain. Again, 5 inches is normal for any given month here in the Texas-Louisiana area. And now some parts are already experiencing 8 inches of rain over a 36-hour period. Extreme flooding. The ground's already flooded, and they're going to get more rain incoming in the next 36 to 42 hours.
8 inches of rainfall. And of course, more of that is on the way as we continue to see that batch of tropical moisture pushing closer and closer towards southeast Texas. In addition to the flash flood warning, like I said, there's a flood advisory. So if you're in Cleveland, the Woodlands, Tomball, you're going to be monitored until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then Conroe, Pinehurst with the flash flooding, that's going to be an area to monitor until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So a number of different spots along 292, so just past Cypress towards Hempstead. That's another area that's still getting hit with some heavy rain. So for today, our flood risk is very elevated. So you'll notice the area shaded in red, that's a level 3 on the 1 to 4 scale. Moderate doesn't sound like it's a big deal. However, you'll notice that's on the higher end potential for flooding. Here in Houston, for Fort Bend, this is going to extend into Wharton, Matagorda, Brazoria, Galveston, Chambers, and Liberty. So a really big chunk of the area is under that elevated 3 on the 1 to 4 scale threat. Then it diminishes the further north that you go. So for Montgomery into Walker County, San Jacinto, Polk, those areas are under a threat level 2. And then further northwest, so towards Grimes, Bryan College Station, Washington, those areas have a marginal risk. That is a 1 on the 1 to 4 scale. How about for our Wednesday? That's
okay. She mentioned College Station. College Station is where Texas A&M is. I've been there for a disaster years ago. That area is very susceptible to flooding, guys. Very, very susceptible to flooding. Guys, this is happening now. This flooding is happening now. It's imminent. It's imminent. It's happening as we speak.
That's when most of the activity is expected to take shape. That's when the National Hurricane Center, like I said, is tracking the potential of our first named storm of the season, Arthur, making its landfall. Now, where is this most likely to happen? We're thinking somewhere along Chambers County into Louisiana. So for now, the models are thinking that this is going to skirt just past Galveston and push a little bit further east, closer to the Bolivar Peninsula, and then moving into Louisiana. Our threat level on Wednesday is much the same in terms of flooding. So we're under a threat level 3 for most of the area. This includes Harris County, Fort Bend, the eastern portion of Matagorda, Brazoria, Galveston, Chambers, and Liberty counties. And then the further north and west that you go, the threat starts to drop off a little bit there. So because of this, we are under weather impact alerts. So that is for today, tomorrow, into Thursday. Our risk for torrential downpours that could lead to localized flash flooding is pretty elevated. So 80% potential for today. For tomorrow, I think by Thursday, we'll start to see things quiet down just a bit. So we may be able to scale back on the rain potential on Thursday. However, for now, we'll just keep these 3 days on high alert. I will be watching those updates with the National Hurricane Center throughout the day to make sure we've got the latest guidance from them. But for now, we do need to prepare for some heavy rain and along the immediate coastline. Like I said, those areas that are now flagged for tropical storm watch need to look out for the potential of elevated high water with some coastal flooding as the predominant concern there.
Okay, thus that she said after Thursday, things are going to calm down here. This storm is going to move further east, even into Tennessee. Starting Friday, we on the East Coast could possibly see very heavy rain showers and flooding as well. We could also see the beginnings of a hurricane on the East Coast. Okay, remember that. We're going to be talking about that going into tomorrow.
All right, we've got our newscast coming up here at 12.
Okay. I'm not going to go into that newscast right now because we're past that. However, I'm going to bring up Fox weather here. This is also important. As I said, this storm has already dumped heavy amounts of rain water on Texas. This is a storm that is not just incoming, that is already on land. It left the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Now it's on land over in Corpus Christi, Galveston, and going into Houston.
That the National Hurricane Center plans to start issuing advisories around potential tropical cyclone number 1. Emphasis on potential. This thing is not a tropical cyclone yet. It's not a tropical storm, but it is right now located. I find it interesting. Matthew and I were just talking about it. The location, per the National Hurricane Center, is not in the Gulf. It's over southern Texas. It's still over land. And, and they're going to start issuing advisories. This is going to free them up to perhaps issue some alerts later.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a smart decision. It's a smart move. It is odd to see this PTC being designated over land and not over the waters of the Gulf. But I think that's a good move in messaging because of the international tourism that we have going on along the Texas coast right now, especially into Houston with the FIFA World Cup. You have a lot of people that maybe they don't take heed of the flash flood alerts. They don't understand the significance of it until they bump it up. And it's not just an invest, but it is a PTC, a potential tropical cyclone. Then you can start to issue alerts that are more tropical in nature, especially along the coast, where you could get up to tropical storm force winds, maybe closer to 40, 50 miles per hour in some cases, depending upon if this thing really does garner a little bit of strength in the Gulf of America.
And here's what's so challenging about this element. We still have today a day of very heavy rain. We've seen trends that Louisiana is going to get very wet. We have rain falling right now still over the Texas coastline. But now with a potential tropical cyclone, you do consider the fact that this could change the forecast some. It could really affect what we see along the coastline. I'm glad you mentioned the winds. If this thing were to emerge in the Western Gulf and if it were to strengthen some, now we're suddenly talking about really some coastal impacts that could be felt from Corpus Christi all the way to south of New Orleans, along the Louisiana coastline, maybe into Mississippi and Alabama. Anytime you get a tropical low and it starts to strengthen, the one thing about June storms, and really, as you know, the NHC, they're going to be tight-lipped about anything until about 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. But one thing that we know, this element of wind shear in June, if we get a storm, it's going to be a messy one. And past June storms, they are known for that, being really messy, oftentimes a lot of dry air working into it. But someone, somewhere, typically gets hit pretty hard with some, at the very least, heavy rain.
Yeah, what's, unfortunate, you think back to a couple of years ago where you have a potential tropical cyclone that was impacting the Carolina coast. It felt like a hurricane. It felt like a tropical storm because of the wind and the rain, all of it whipping up. And so with this being now that PTC1, that does add maybe more severity to the forecast of now it's not just the very heavy rainfall, but you could have these sheets of rain that just come piling down, making it very difficult to drive. You have all of this available moisture. Not only do you have that that frontal boundary wetting things now to start off this event, but then you have this tropical entity that comes into play here that is a little bit more organized. And as we've been talking about it, where that heavy band sets up, if you can get these outer rain bands to take shape, that's a spot that is going to see torrential rainfall that in some cases could equate up to a foot, maybe a foot and a half worth of rain. I wouldn't put it out of the forecast just given how humid, even I know and I can feel it outside, it will be. For Texas, I think that this is a positive trend overall, into Houston especially, but, you know, we are still going to be watching out for spots along East Texas, so Galveston, in through Corpus Christi, as you mentioned today, could be a little bit windy. Coastal flood alerts could be an issue as well with some high tide flooding. And with the South Padre Island, it sits very, very low. It doesn't take much in order to see this overwash, and it's one road in, one road out for some of these beach communities.
Watch how quickly dogs relax when they lie down on an orthopedic dog sofa like.
Okay, just a second. I'm not going to let this go again, but this is very important we get this information. Okay, guess that was the end of that program. Guys, I want to get into this. Okay, I'm going to go heavily into this because this is a lot of information. This may cause some people to lose their lives. This has the potential of causing someone to lose their lives here. That's why we're talking about this today. This is very important, okay? Please stick around for this information. You're going to want to be here, okay? You're going to want to be here. I guarantee it, okay? Just a second here. Okay, number one, they were talking about the potential of Tropical Cyclone 1, TC1, okay? The first tropical storm named this year. The first tropical storm named this year is going to be Arthur. Again, this could happen as early as 11 p.m. tonight, but probably early in the morning. Early in the morning, okay? Now, I have a lot of information here for you. Please stick around for this information. I already see 2 people have already dropped off. This comes from the National Weather Service, Galveston, Texas. The National Weather Service, Galveston, Texas here, okay? The meteorologist here talked about the Bolivar Peninsula, coastal Brazoria County, Texas, as of 10:38 a.m. this morning, Central Time. A tropical storm watch means, again, tropical storm force winds are possible somewhere within the warned area within the next 48 hours. That is already happening now, okay? Locations are affected. I'm going to give you the locations these storms are hitting. Bolivar, Crystal Beach, High Island, Freeport, Lake Jackson, Brazoria Islands, Surfside Beach, Matagorda Island, Matagorda Jetty, Matagorda Ship Channel, Galveston, Jamaica Beach, West End Galveston Island. Now remember, guys, we also have not just small ships, not just small boats, but we have oil tankers coming in here either to offload oil to the Galveston or the Houston oil refineries, but we also have oil gas that's outgoing from Texas, going out all around the world, okay? Now, what is going on right now is not necessarily going to affect shipping at all, okay? These are low winds, relatively low winds. Again, relatively low winds, okay? But this is going to be heavy rain. The wind forecast, below tropical force winds so far, forecast wind speed is anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Flooding is ongoing. Flooding is now occurring in these warned areas due to thunderstorms we've already talked about. We're going to see more and more of this as the storm progresses. Thunderstorms are also going to reach maximum potential, leading to the possibility of tornadoes. Thunderstorms, as they spin off tornadoes. The outer bands of the thunderstorm spin off tornadoes. Okay? Now, max velocity was earlier saying some places near the Gulf Coast could see up to a foot of rain or more. They've already seen up to 5 inches of rain already this month. Now they're going to see up to 8 to 12 inches more. That includes typical forecast uncertainty in track and size and intensity, meaning the storm track, the cone that she talked about. This includes a typical forecast area, the size and intensity of the storm, and wind is probably going to be less than 39 to 40 miles per hour. Want to make sure everybody understands this. A tropical storm watch is in progress. A tropical storm is in progress right now. Okay? Now we talked about that cone. That cone going down here towards Mexico here, going up into the Corpus Christi area, going northeast into Houston area, going up to Louisiana as well. This whole area here is under storm warning. Under storm warning. Okay? It's gone from watch to warning now. Okay? Flooding is now occurring. Now I'm going to give you this information so that you can update yourselves. The plan. The sustained wind should remain less than tropical storm force until about 11 o'clock tonight. Conditions as in wind speeds are going to be gusting up 35 miles an hour. Now, you need to ensure your own and your family's emergency readiness should the forecast change. Everybody, families and businesses need to ensure emergency readiness should the forecast change, and it will change. I'm going to talk about threat to life and property. I'm going to do that several times during the next 20, 30 minutes. That includes typical forecast uncertainty in track, size, and intensity. The storm track, I'm showing you right here. The storm track, the size of the storm, she showed you all those thunderstorms going through the area. They're going to continue, and the intensities could increase. The storm intensities could increase here. Potential impacts. Now, we are going to be updating you as this information becomes more available. Right now, we've given you the storm impacts already. Okay? Storm impacts include Bolivar, Crystal Beach, High Island, Freeport, Texas, Lake Jackson, Brazoria Islands, Surfside Beach, Matagorda Island, Matagorda Jetty, Matagorda Ship Channel, Galveston, Jamaica Beach, West Galveston Island. Okay? Those are the storm impacts. Threat to life and property is ongoing. That includes typical forecasts we've talked about. Potential for more flooding and more rain, major flooding and more rain. Emergency plans should include the potential for major flooding in your specific areas, from heavy rain, evacuations, and also possible rescues. The Cajun Navy is on call right now. The Cajun Navy is in standby calling right now when this increases. You should prepare. Everyone in this area should prepare. Strongly consider proactive actions, especially if you are in an area that is vulnerable to flooding. Heed any flood watches that are ongoing right now. The lady in the first video talked about flood watches, what that means, and storm watches, what that means. She also talked about storm warnings. Watches mean you're looking for it to happen. Warnings mean you need to take action immediately to save your own lives and lives of your family. Failure to take action will likely result in serious injury or loss of life. It's interesting. 5 minutes ago, we were talking about all this stuff. We had over 22 people watching. Now we only have 12 people watching. Over half the people dropped off for whatever reason. Now I want to talk about potential impacts. Okay? Major rainfall flooding may prompt many evacuations and rescues. Rivers and tributaries may rapidly overflow their banks in multiple places. Small streams, creeks, canals, ditches may become dangerous rivers. I'm going to repeat that. Small streams, creeks, canals, and ditches may become dangerous rivers. We've seen this happen in the past. I want to make sure everybody's aware of it. This means all of you, where you live. Where you live, guys. Be aware of it. Right now, we're looking at a storm watch. Storm watch. Right here. She talked about earlier. Now, as this storm leaves the Yucatan Peninsula, right here, as it leaves the Yucatan Peninsula, moving into Texas, the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico is also getting hit really bad. Those people need to batten down the hatches and also try to save their own lives. Again, landslides are very likely in the hilly areas of this region, all over this region. Okay, now let me show you the spaghetti models here. Look at this. Again, over in the panhandle of Texas down here, all the way north through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, northern Florida, into Georgia, South and North Carolina by Friday. Also Tennessee here, as you see. The spaghetti models have made Tennessee a possibility. But you see those red lines here? These red lines are specific areas where the computer said these are the likely areas for the storm to go. Heavy rain, very heavy rain in this area. Okay? Small streams, creeks, canals, and ditches will become dangerous rivers. Flood control systems and barriers may be stressed, may become stressed. Flood waters can enter many structures within multiple communities. Some structures will become uninhabitable or washed away. Many places where flood waters may cover escape routes. You need to consider that. In past episodes of the Emergency Management Associates program, we talked about planning your route of escape in case you have to leave your home. Now, guys, this is an extreme possibility. This storm is going to bring extreme possibilities in here. If you live in an area that is a low-lying area, you need to think about possible evacuation right now. You need to think seriously about possible evacuation right now. Because later, your evacuation routes will become limited or none. Then you'll be stuck where you're at. Okay? Floodwaters may cover your escape routes. Streets and parking lots will become rivers of moving water with underpasses submerged. Driving conditions become dangerous. Many road and bridge closures with some weakened or even washed out. Road and bridge closures, guys. Some of those bridges will become weakened and even washed out, especially the older bridges in that area here. Please be aware of this. Please be aware of this, guys. This is coming to you. This is coming to you. Tropical storm is incoming within the next 12 to 36 hours, at least by 7 a.m. tomorrow. 7 a.m. tomorrow. I want you to be ready for this, guys. I want you to be ready for this. Okay? Now, sometime about 11:30 tonight, the Air Force is going to roll out the Hurricane Hunter aircraft going into the storm. No, this is not a hurricane, but the Hurricane Hunter aircraft are going to fly into the storm to see exactly what the storm is doing, the wind capacity, and the amount of rain that is expected. As of about 12 midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, this next morning, we're going to get more information. And if that is information so of an emergent nature, we'll be coming back on there tonight to talk about it. Okay? Now, let's talk about tornadoes. As I said before, please be aware of this. As I have said before, these thunderstorms are spinning off in waves like this. The clouds rotating around the thunderstorm like this. As the clouds spin around the thunderstorm, they're going to spin off tornadoes. Let's talk about tornadoes now. Threat to life and property. The situation is somewhat favorable for tornadoes right now. That includes typical forecast uncertainty in track size and the storm intensity. There is a potential for a few tornadoes now. Your emergency plans should include the potential for a few tornadoes. What are you going to do when a tornado comes around? What are you going to do to get yourself through a tornado and come out the other side of it? Flooding is now occurring. Heavy-duty flooding is now occurring. Now, I thought I had a picture of flooding that's already gone on. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. I guess I didn't. I'm sorry, I don't have that information. Don't have that picture. I'll get it, but I don't have that picture right now. Flooding is now occurring in warned areas due to thunderstorms. And we're going to see more as this storm progresses to the northeast. We were saying in some place near the Gulf of America, we could see up to a foot or more of rain. If your shelter, your home, wherever you're at, is particularly vulnerable to tornadoes, prepare now to relocate to a safe shelter before the hazardous weather occurs. Okay? Prepare now to relocate. If you're in an area right now, your home or shelter right now is an area that is particularly vulnerable to tornadoes, prepare right now to seek safe shelter before the hazardous weather occurs. Potential impacts are limited. The occurrence of isolated tornadoes can hinder the execution of emergency plans. Okay? The execution of your plan could be limited once a tornado hits the ground. Once a tornado hits the ground, your ability to execute your emergency plans will be very limited due to the tropical events happening, i.e. tornado. A few places may experience tornado damage, along with power and communication disruptions. The location could realize roofs being peeled off the buildings, homes as well, chimneys toppled, mobile homes pushed off foundation or completely overturned, large tree tops and branches being snapped off, thus inhibiting electricity flow along the upper parts of the power lines being blown down as well. Now you have active power lines on the ground. Okay, you need to be aware of that. Do not, I'm going to repeat, do not either walk across or drive across these power lines. They could be active and they could electrocute you and put you graveyard dead. These winds of the thunderstorms can also not just knock down trees, but they can blow vehicles off the road. I've seen it happen to me. The winds, strong enough winds, can blow vehicles off the road. Small boats are going to be pulled off moorings. When I was in San Diego during a tropical storm, a great big huge destroyer was pulled off the moorings of a pier in San Diego Harbor, and pulled off its moorings, and it was thrown by the wind into another ship in the shipyard. I'm going to repeat that. Even though you may not have a small boat, larger boats can be pulled off their moorings alongside a pier and be shoved into a larger ship or a smaller ship, creating a massive amount of damage. I happened to investigate that ship being blown into the other ship the night that happened. Be aware of that. Be constantly aware of this. Now let's go into Louisiana. Let's talk about specifically Louisiana now. I'm going to talk about Lower Vermilion County area of Louisiana. The tropical storm watch is already in effect there. The tropical storm watch again means tropical storm force winds are possible somewhere within the warned area within the next 48 hours. Tropical storm watch is already in occurrence right now. It's there. It's in effect. Locations for this tropical storm warning and watch is Aveyah, Intercoastal City, Forked Island, Sabine Lake, Calsaco, Calcasieu Lake, Vermilion and West Cody Blanche Bays, Atchafalaya, Atchafalaya, and East Cody Blanche Bays, coastal waters from Cameroon, Louisiana to High Island, Texas, out 20 nautical miles out into the Gulf of America. Coastal waters from Intercoastal City to Cameroon, Louisiana, 20 nautical miles out to sea in the Gulf of America. Coastal waters from Lower Atchafalaya River, Atchafalaya River to Intercoastal City, Louisiana. Out again 20 nautical miles out to sea. Coastal waters from Cameroon, Louisiana to High Island, Texas. Also 20 to 60 nautical miles out into the Gulf of America. Coastal waters from Intercoastal City to Cameroon, Louisiana. 60 nautical miles out into the Gulf of America. Coastal waters from Lower Atchafalaya River, Atchafalaya River to Intercoastal City, Louisiana. Port Arthur, Sabine Pass, Sea Rim State Park, Cameron, Creole, Grand Chenier, Lower St. Mary, Burns Point, Cypress Mort Point, Lower Iberia, and Avery Island. The local wind forecast is below tropical storm force winds today, but that may change tomorrow. Peak wind forecast is between 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Threat to life and property. That includes the typical forecast uncertainty for track size and intensity of the storm. Potential for wind is again 39 to 57 miles per hour. Potential wind for this storm is anywhere from 39 to 57 miles per hour. That's pretty stiff winds. Those are pretty stiff winds. Plan for hazardous wind is equivalent to tropical storm force winds. Plan for hazardous winds of equivalent tropical storm winds, force winds. Prepare for efforts to protect property should now be underway. Efforts to protect property should now be underway. Prepare for limited wind damage. Prepare now for limited wind damage in the very least. Act. Act now to complete preparedness actions before the winds become hazardous. Prepare now before the winds become hazardous. Potential impacts again. Potential impacts are limited. Damages to ports, swings, awnings, carports, sheds, and unanchored mobile homes. Unsecured lightweight objects are going to be blown about. Many large tree limbs are going to be blown off. A few trees snap or uprooted. Both greater numbers of places where trees are shallow rooted, prepare for those to go down. And as power lines go down, then that has their own potential problems. Hazardous driving conditions on bridges and other elevated roadways. Scattered power and communication outages are very likely. Scattered power and communication outages are very likely. Prepare for that. On bridges and elevated roadways, those of you that are driving high-profile vehicles, including semis, tractor truck, 21-wheelers, also RVs of any kind, campers and trucks of any kind, even high vans. High vans. That means all of you. I know there are people out there that are driving those. You need to be prepared for that to happen, because this is going to happen. This is going to happen, guys. Scattered power and communication outages. That means you need to have your backup power supply, your generators, whether it be solar or diesel gas power generators, need to have those ready as well. If you have a diesel or gas power generator, make sure it's far enough away from any windows or doors of your home or anyone else's doors, windows, or home. Make sure they don't get carbon monoxide poisoning from your generators. If you have a solar generator, you don't have that problem. Now, this storm began this morning, early this morning. There is no real storm surge at this point today. There is no real storm surge as right now. Now, we do have the possibility of a peak storm surge inundation later on this evening. That's because we're going to get more and more rain in. The potential for 2 to 6 feet above ground somewhere around surge-prone areas. Around surge-prone areas of harbors and beaches. Windows of concern as well. Windows of concern as well. You need to remember that. Again, this storm began this morning. The threat to life and property is real. Okay? The threat to life and property is very real. The intensity for this storm surge is flooding greater than 3 feet above ground. Storm surge flooding is greater than 3 feet above ground forecast. Forecast. Again, plan for life-threatening storm surge flooding of greater than 3 feet above ground. Flooding is now occurring in these warned areas due to thunderstorms. Flooding is now occurring in these areas due to thunderstorms already in progress. Already in progress, guys. It's ongoing. It's going to continue all up and down this area here. All along the coast of Texas and even into Louisiana, and later tonight even into Mississippi, Alabama, North Florida, and Georgia, into Tennessee, South and North Carolina by Friday. Okay? Some places near the Gulf are going to see a foot of rain or more, and storm surge flooding preparations should be underway right now, immediately. Immediately. You need to assemble your disaster supplies we talked about in previous episodes of this program. Assemble your disaster supplies immediately. Know your evacuation routes right now. Again, I'm going to repeat myself from a few minutes ago. Know your evacuation routes right now. If you live in a low-lying area or you work in a low-lying area, get out of there now. Go to higher ground now. Okay? Now. Because later, your evacuation routes are going to completely disappear. Your evacuation routes could completely disappear during this flood stage tonight into tomorrow. Remember that. Leave if evacuation orders are given for your area. Leave. Leave if the orders are given. Also, as I just stated, if you even live in a local area where you have localized flooding already, or you live in an area that is prone to flooding, get out now. Get out now. Don't wait for an evacuation order to be given because it might be too late. Failure to heed these evacuation orders may result in loss of your life. Loss of your life. Your potential impacts are significant. Here in Louisiana and some parts of Texas, your potential impacts are going to be significant. Areas of inundation with storm surge flooding are accentuated by waves and storm surge. Damage to several buildings, mainly near the coast, are already happening. Sections of near shore escape routes and secondary roads are going to become weakened or washed out, especially in usually vulnerable low spots. Major beach erosion with heavy surf breaching sand dunes. Sand dunes, guys, especially the SpaceX spaceport. Okay. Strong and numerous rip currents. Strong and numerous rip currents. Stay out of the water. Completely stay out of the water. Moderate damage to marinas is going to be had. Docks, boardwalks, and piers are going to be damaged. Several small craft have already broken away from moorings, especially in unprotected anchorages, meaning the boats were offshore in the Gulf of America, only held down to the bottom of the Gulf by anchors. Because of the winds and the waves, these small craft have already broken away from their anchorages. Okay? There's going to be flooding rain. Flood watch and warnings are already in effect. Peak rainfall amounts, additionally 3 to 6 inches, locally higher amounts later tonight. The threat to life and property again is real. Potential for major flooding rain tonight. Potential for flooding rain tonight. You need to plan. Emergency plans should include the potential for major flooding from heavy rain. Evacuations and rescues are likely. Evacuations and rescues are likely. Again, I was told earlier today about 12 noon, the Cajun Navy was on standby for rescues. Okay? The Cajun Navy and also the fire departments throughout this region are on call right now for potential rescues immediately. Potential impacts, extensive potential impacts. Now 15 people watching this, bad. I thought we'd have more people watching. I thought maybe this was enough of an emergency, people would want to watch this. Apparently not. Apparently people don't care. Don't care even about their own lives or the lives of their family. Potential impacts are extensive. Major rainfall flooding may prompt major evacuations and rescues. Rivers and tributaries may rapidly overflow their banks in multiple places. Small streams, creeks, and canals and ditches may become dangerous rivers. Flood control channels and flood control systems and barriers may become stressed. Flood waters may enter many structures within multiple communities. Some structures becoming uninhabitable or even washed away. Many places where floodwaters may cover escape routes. Means you need to get out now. You need to get out now. Don't wait for the evacuation order to get out now. Streets and parking lots may become fast-flowing rivers of moving water with underpasses completely submerged. Driving conditions will become dangerous tonight, under cover of darkness. Many roads and bridge closures with some weakened or even washed out. Be aware of that. Now, the latest weather forecast locally in Louisiana and in Texas. The situation is somewhat favorable for tornadoes coming into the area, spinning off from the thunderstorms. The threat to life and property that includes typical forecast uncertainty in storm track, the storm size, and the storm intensity. But the potential is there. Your emergency plan should include the potential for a few tornadoes, at least. Prepare your shelter right now. If your shelter is particularly vulnerable to tornadoes, prepare to relocate it to safer ground, to safe shelters before the hazardous weather arrives. Before the hazardous weather arrives. If a tornado warning is issued, be ready to seek shelter immediately. If you do not have a tornado shelter, move into the centermost part of your home away from any windows. Preferably if you have a hall without windows in it, hall without windows. If you have a tornado warning, go into a nearby bedroom, pull the mattress off the bed, pull the mattress over the top of you and your family members, and then hunker down. Hunker down till the storm passes. Okay? Hunker down till the storm passes. Be ready to shelter immediately when the tornado warning is given. Potential impacts also limited. The occurrence of isolated tornadoes can hinder the execution of emergency plans during tropical events. A few places are going to experience tornado damage, along with power and communication disruptions. Locations can realize roofs peeled off buildings, chimneys toppled, mobile homes pushed off foundations or even overturned, or completely destroyed with the tornado. Large tree tops and branches going to be snapped off, resulting in power lines being ripped to shreds. Power lines dropping in the streets. Again, don't go past those power lines. Do not step over them. The power could arc off the power line into the nearby water on the street from the rains, and you'll get electrocuted. I've seen it happen. Don't do it. Don't do it. Shallow-rooted trees are going to be knocked over. Moving vehicles, including those high-profile vehicles, the RVs, the big, huge semi-truck trailers, these large vans, going to be blown off the roads. Boats are going to be pulled from their moorings. Now, I'm going to give you some information right now. If you need more information, go to our previous programs on emergency preparation. On YouTube, throughout the last 3 years here on YouTube, because before that, YouTube took them down because they thought I was being bad talking about COVID. They took my other channel down. I came back and started this channel. Now we've been on the air over 3 years currently. Go back to our previous episodes of this program where we are specifically talking about preparedness. Go to that program and pull up emergency information. If we talked about emergency preparedness, go to that program as well and watch that program. If we talked about emergency preparedness kits, go to that program. If we talked about medical kits, go to that program as well. You're going to want to have that information. Okay? Also, you can go to Hurricane Preparedness through the Federal Emergency Management Agency at http://ready.gov/hurricanes. http://ready.gov/hurricanes. Local weather conditions and forecasts will be put out by the National Weather Service. NWS Houston/Galveston, Texas.gov. .gov. Do we have any questions from anybody about these storms? Do we have any questions about anybody from these storms? This is important information, guys. What I've been telling you for the last 60 minutes is very important. Renee Stevie's been here in the chat putting out storm warnings as well. I see tropical storm warnings have been issued along the entire Gulf of America. Tropical storm warnings have been issued out of St. Charles, Louisiana, including Aveyah, Intracoastal City, and Fork Island. Tropical storm warnings have been issued out of Lake Charles, Louisiana for Cameron, Creole, and Grand Chenier. We talked about that earlier when I've talked about various areas all over Louisiana. Tropical storm warnings have been issued out of Lake Charles, Louisiana from the National Weather Service, Burns Point, and Cybermort Point as well. DJ Jum says, love you, Ron, love your chat. Lost my phone in Puerto Rico, in the Puerto Rico Ocean, April 28th. Finally going through Apple iCloud. Big long story. I now have my new phone and access to all my info. I'm glad you do, DD. Thank you for being here. Please, guys, please pass this information on. Please pass this information on to your family, your extended family, your friends, your neighbors, friends you have here in Texas. If you don't live in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, pass this information on to your friends that do. They need this information bad. They need this information right now, immediately. Pass it also on to the people you work with, also your social media contacts as well. Your social media contacts as well. Guys, share this program. Share it far and wide, everywhere. If you're not subscribed to this program, please do so. When you subscribe to this channel, guys, there's something else you need to do. I'm going to tell you now. Right next to the subscription button, there's a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon. When you click on that little bell icon, there's a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word all, A-L-L, all. When you do that, you'll get notified when we come on the air. Whenever we come on the air, you'll get notified about it so you can come on the air with us. So you can watch the program, listen to the program. Okay? That's important. Also be notified yourselves. YouTube does not always notify everybody. Lately, YouTube has not been notifying much of anybody. Even our moderators aren't being notified when we come on the air. My buddy Rich Quake out of Nova Scotia, Canada, hardly gets any notifications at all. My dear friend Renee Steffi, putting out permanent weather information for us today. She had that same problem. She unsubscribed and resubscribed and also hit that notification bell again. Now, guys, this may happen several times a week. Go to our channel. If you're already subscribed, unsubscribe and resubscribe. And again, hit that notification bell and hit the word all. Click on the word all so you get notified when we come on the air. You may have to go through your channel information every day. Or I shouldn't say every day, but every few days. Every few days, guys. This is important. This is really important. Now, Aubrey's here. Aubrey, I appreciate you being here. Aubrey's also been a dear friend of mine for a very long time. Renee Steffi's also putting out tropical storm warnings issued out of Lake Charles, Louisiana for Avery Island. Again, I gave you this information earlier when I talked about contacts and information about Louisiana. All these areas were mentioned in my forecast information about Louisiana. You need to be aware of that. If you've forgotten, go back to this point in the program where we talked about these notifications and get notified about them again. Take notes. Take notes of what we talked about in this program today. It's very important. Now, just before we came on the program last night, we had a severe plane crash in Edwards Air Force Base, California. I now have that program from KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles for you. Again, 8 people from a B52 aircraft went down at Edwards Air Force Base test field in California.
The B52 bomber was just on a routine test mission when it crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base out in the Mojave Desert, and sadly, there were no survivors.
The crew was a mix of military officials, government civilians, and government contractors. Sandra Mitchell reports from Edwards Air Force Base.
Rick and Cher, tonight, the names of the victims not yet being released. We are told that earlier today, the Air Force sent out teams to notify the next of kin in person. Then it is standard procedure for them to wait at least another 24 hours before publicly releasing the names of the victims.
Sadly, there's not much left of this massive B-52 that crashed.
Sky 5 over the smoldering black scar at Edwards Air Force Base, where a B-52 Stratofortress bomber crashed around 11:20 this morning.
It took off and immediately after takeoff crashed, and burst into flames.
Tonight, the Air Force beginning the grim task of recovering the bodies. The Air Force saying the crash was tragic and unsurvivable, with 8 crew members dead at the scene.
Today, Edwards Air Force Base experienced a horrible tragedy, and we lost 8 great Americans.
The plane was on a routine test mission at the remote airbase almost 100 miles northeast of downtown LA. Now the investigation into what caused the crash begins.
Don't know if it's mechanical, don't know what it could be. There could be a variety of different things. They'll be doing a full-blown investigation. It's not a particularly troubled aircraft, but it's got a very long history going back to the 50s.
The Stratofortress, a long-range heavy bomber, is still a big part of the Air Force arsenal, and similar planes have been used in the current war with Iran. Boeing, the manufacturer of the B52, confirmed 2 of its employees were on the flight, and the Air Force says those killed are military, government civilian workers, and government contractors. A retired airman today reacting to the deadly crash.
I worked with this airframe a lot while I was active duty, and so it's kind of like a family loss, kind of like losing a family member.
The Air Force already announcing today that although the investigation is already underway, it could be 6 months before they determine the official cause of the crash. In the Mojave Desert tonight, outside Edwards Air Force Base, I'm Sandra Mitchell, KTLA 5 News. Rick and Cher, back to you.
Okay. This is terrible, guys. I have friends that work out at Edwards. Air Force Base. I've been out there myself for shuttle landings in the past. It's a huge airbase. This crash had only a very small debris field. Very small debris field, as you saw in the report. Let me go back here and see if I can pull up the debris field here for you. I want to show you that again. There it is right there. That is a hugely small debris field. With the B-52 as large as that was, you would have thought it would have a larger debris field, but it did not. It basically plowed into the ground there. It was going down the runway at probably 150 miles an hour, literally plowed into the ground there. They do not have any idea what the cause of this crash was, but 8 people on board the B-52, civilians and military personnel, lost their life yesterday evening at Edwards Air Force Base, Mojave Base, California. Unreal. Very sad day. Very sad day. Now, we have had some large earthquakes around the globe. Down in Sulawesi, Indonesia, we had a 6.7 earthquake. We had multiple large earthquakes down in the South Sandwich Islands, south of South America. The large earthquake around the globe happened over in Sulawesi, Indonesia, 6.7 earthquake last night. 6.7, very substantial, very, very huge earthquake. Not major, but a huge earthquake. Huge earthquake. 6.7 near Sulawesi, Indonesia. There's going to be damage on some of the smaller islands near Sulawesi, Indonesia. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for me? Aubrey says, with all that fuel on board, the fire, yes, the fire was incredible. Now, I specifically, purposely did not show the fire at all. It was a huge fireball. I did not want to show that because I don't want any more families than is necessary to see that fireball. That was witnessed on nearby cameras and video systems that were out at Edwards that chronicled that B-52 taken off. There's video of that B-52 taken off. Part of it you saw just a few minutes ago. Small, very small debris field from that B-52. Now guys, we don't have anything to talk about. I'm going to end with something I normally don't do. I'm going to end this program with something we don't normally do. Okay. Let me key this up. Flags last night, by order of President Trump, were ordered around this country to be lowered to half staff in honor of the people that lost their lives in the B52 crash yesterday evening. Guys, a very tremendous loss. Very huge, tremendous loss today. In honor of those people, I'm going to do something I don't normally do.